Members of the jury?
Good afternoon, Officer Waldman.
Good afternoon.
You doing well today?
Well enough, yeah.
Ankle and shin are convalescing adequately?
Adequately enough, yeah, as those things go.
Okay. I'd like to ask you a few general questions as we start this afternoon so that the jury may become a little more familiar with your background and specifically your law enforcement experience.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. How many years have you been involved in law enforcement with a police officer, as a police officer?
Right, I've spent 30 years as a law enforcement officer.
Okay. And prior to becoming a law enforcement officer, did you have some type of academy training?
Yes, I attended the MA Police Academy,
Okay,
Massachusetts.
very good. And how long have you been associated with the Chicago Police Department?
Just 8 years.
Okay. And how long have you been partnered with Officer Levy?
Just one.
Just 1 year?
Yeah.
Okay. As part of the assignment with the Chicago Police Department, which area are you assigned to currently?
The non-uniform anti-crime division.
Okay. So now that the jury knows a little bit about your background, extensive law enforcement experience, I'd like to transition into the events leading up to the early morning hours of December 7th.
All right.
Were you on patrol the evening of December 6, 1996 with Officer Levy?
Yes, I was. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And specifically, what were you and Officer Levy doing that evening?
We were responding to a call about a robbery, and after we inspected the area, the robber had fled the scene, so we left it to the uniformed cops and began making our circles looking for a fugitive on foot somewhere.
Okay. You mentioned you left it to the uniformed officers
Yes.
at the crime scene.
Yes.
Were you and Officer Levy wearing uniforms that evening?
No, and we were part of the non-uniform unit that evening, so we were in an unmarked car and we were not uniformed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after leaving the crime scene to the uniformed officers, you and Officer Levy, in plain clothes, got into your unmarked police car.
That's right.
And what happened after that?
We just began patrolling, looking for someone ducking behind trash cans, or just odd behavior that might indicate the fugitive.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall what street specifically you began your search on as you were looking for the fugitive?
I don't exactly remember which street, not off the top of my head.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to refresh the witness's memory? Thank you. I believe it was California Avenue that you were traveling on.
Yes, that rings a bell, that's right, yeah.
Okay, very good. And anything in particular or unique happened when you were driving up California Avenue with Officer Levy?
Not that I recall. I mean, not in particular on California Street.
Any incidents, cars trying to get around you, or?
Yes, actually, yeah. Nothing. No, not on California Street.
Okay. After California Avenue, where did you go?
We went on to Evergreen.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And business as normal on Evergreen, or did anything in particular happen?
No, there was a peculiar car behind us who was very aggressive in his driving. Was very, all over the road, and we were going fairly slow because we were looking for the fugitive, and pulled over twice to let him pass, but he never tried.
Okay, and after you had allowed him or pulled over so he could pass you several times,
Mm-hmm.
what happened next?
Then what he did was he pulled in front of us, and he got out of his car and came around the back of ours. And
Okay, and after, could you describe as he pulled the car up in front of you, did he block your path of traffic?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so due to his position, you can no longer proceed on your normal course looking for this fugitive.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, and as he came out and exited his car and ran around the back, as you said, what did you do next?
I didn't proceed to do anything immediately. Officer Levy exited the car and proceeded to confront him. At that point, there was a brief fight, and I stepped out of the car. And I saw Officer Levy just over the back of the car holding Ramirez's right hand. He had the knife in it. So I proceeded then to go around the back of the car, and I used deadly force.
Okay. Kind of gives an overview of what happened, so let me back up and let's kind of walk the jury to get through this process one step at a time so they might have a better understanding of what actually happened. So your testimony is that Mr. Ramirez got out of his car and was coming around the back of his car, and was Mr. Ramirez yelling anything at that point?
Yes, they were obviously angry.
Okay. And you said that your partner, Officer Levy, exited the car to confront Mr. Ramirez first? Before
Yes,
you?
before me, yes.
Okay. And as you were exiting the car yourself, you said you were able to look back across your car.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, did you see Mr. Ramirez stab Officer Levy?
Yes, I did. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so unequivocally, there was no doubt in your mind that you were able to see that action take place.
Yes, absolutely, no doubt.
Okay, and it's at that point you were already out of the car that you were running to the aid of your partner.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and at that particular point, did Officer Levy have a grip on Mr. Ramirez's forearm?
Yes, he had two hands on Mr. Ramirez's right forearm.
Okay, and so as you were coming around at that particular point, Officer Levy was able to hold off any further attack from Mr. Ramirez with the knife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and can you tell us what happened next?
Well, the next thing we did as we're trained as police officers, I used deadly force. I pulled up my gun and shot Ramirez because of his actions towards my partner.
Okay, and what led you to take that action? Had Officer Levy lost his grip on the forearm of Mr. Ramirez?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And very good. So up to this point, what I'd like to do now is transition from the action that took place that night to some of the physical evidence that was gathered at the job site.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. This is Exhibit A
Mm-hmm.
that your attorney, me, has placed into evidence. And could you describe this particular knife for us? That would,
Yeah, it's a butterfly knife. It was the one that was used at the crime scene against my partner.
okay, and so no doubt in your mind, this is the knife that was recovered and the knife that you saw Mr. Ramirez stab Officer Levy with.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. And I've got one more piece of evidence I'd like you to look at if you could.
Yeah.
And could you describe to the jury what that particular piece of paper is?
This is the Chicago Police Department training manual, just real basic. It's the use of deadly force section specifically.
Okay. And could you read paragraphs A and paragraph A1 for the jury?
Mm-hmm. An officer is justified in using force likely to cause death or great bodily harm only when he reasonably believes that such force is necessary. And point 1, to prevent death or bodily harm to the officer or another person.
Okay, thank you. As you were coming around the back of the vehicle and you saw Mr. Ramirez and Officer Levy struggling, and this was after Officer Levy had already been stabbed, and you testified that Officer Levy had lost his grip. Did you believe that Officer Levy was in danger of serious bodily harm, possibly even death?
Yeah, he had a knife to him, so yes, I had to assume that.
Okay. Did you believe you had any other options at that particular point other than to discharge your weapon in defense of Officer Levy?
There was no other practical option for me at that point. As we're trained to do that in such a situation, that's what we're supposed to do.
Okay. Thank you very much for your testimony.
Mm-hmm.